Welcome, everyone. This is the Tuesday edition, February the 2nd, Groundhog Day. Unfortunately, he saw his shadow, so there's 6 more weeks of winter, but we have at least 6 more weeks of Daily Dime shows for you. And these shows are presented by SportsMemo TV, so we're glad that you could attend. I'm joined by my fellow SportsMemo handicappers, Rocky and Buster, who are some of the best professional bettors I personally have known for many years now. So, gentlemen, welcome to the show. Let's get right to it with the first game. And this is the game that Buster's going to be talking about. It's the Temple Owls against the East Carolina University Pirates down at the Williams Arena at Mingus Coliseum. And that is in Carolina. 7 o'clock start. Pirates are 11-9. They're 11-9 against the spread. 12-8 over-under for the season. They're pretty darn good at 10-2 in home games. Temple Owls take to the road here. They're 3-2 in those road games. They are 7-1 when installed as a favorite. However, this game initially here has the Pirates as 1.5-point underdogs at home, taking on Temple with a total of 135.5 points. Take it away, Buster, and tell us where you're taking us with a possible best bet.
Well, thanks again for having me, John, and being here in Mexico. I don't really worry too much about what that groundhog's doing up there. So anyways.
That's good.
Hopefully we can get everybody another winner here. This will be our 4th show. Can't believe we've already been doing this for a month. And so far, knock wood. I'm not going to knock wood here, but 3-0 so far. So let's make this 4-0. We're going to go with East Carolina plus 1.5 here. We got a very desperate East Carolina club here at home. And you mentioned it, John. They've already they're 10-2 at home. We've been using this system with the 3 winners that we've had so far. And the system was the teams coming in with a second road game after they've already won their first road game and going against those teams if the number's correct, if it's numbers where we want it. Well, Temple did lose their last home game, so this is a little offshoot of the system, but still, we really like East Carolina here because this is going to be a revenge game as well for East Carolina. They went to Temple on January 8th, and Temple last-second three-pointer to beat them. So that is fresh in East Carolina's mind. Last game, East Carolina played Cincinnati, one of the better teams in the conference, and they lost to them by 1. Probably deserved a better fate. So they've got a lot of confidence there. They've been They haven't had a lot of good results. We'll just say they've lost 6 of their last 7. So, like I say, they're very desperate, but they're very good at home. Like we had mentioned, they're 10-2 at home. Temple comes here; they're only 3-2 on the true road. So. And for us, what we like about East Carolina, they play much better defense at home, like most college clubs. They play a lot better defense at home. So putting this all together, there's lots to like with East Carolina tonight. They got a great home record. This is a second road for Temple. And getting points with a small dog that we think that will win this game outright is always nice. And, of course, John, have to have a little stat for you. In the series between these two clubs, the home team – in the last 10 games are 7-3 against the spread. We're going to go with East Carolina in this one, guys.
I love the breakdown, Buster. Always a great job. And I did want to mention that you are 3-0 in the show. I think we only get nervous when we're like on a 7-0 streak and where we feel like, the betting gods don't really like us to get too hot. But at 3-0, you're just doing great. The show is actually 63% over the last 4 shows, our first 4 shows together, so it's all good. And now we're going to move over to the ACC and my pick for the show. This is at PNC Arena starting at 9 o'clock. North Carolina State Wolfpack, 14th in the ACC, is hosting the Syracuse Orange, who is 9th. Both teams with losing records, so one of these teams has to get their act together coming down the stretch if they want to eventually get an invite into the big dance, which isn't that far away, gentlemen. So Syracuse 1-5 on the road, but I think they're in a good matchup here. What's been really surprising with Syracuse is they had sandwiched 2 road games in which they scored 90 or more points at home, But in those road games against Wake Forest and I believe the other team was Duke, they scored under 60. So they are one of the largest inconsistent teams in the nation. And it's not just because of being at home and the road. We have many situations where some teams play much, much better at home than they do on the road. And sometimes more rare is that they play better on the road than they do at home. But most of the times it's the first. So in this particular case, the Syracuse Orange defense, which is known by Jim Boeheim's zone defense, does not have the length that it's had in previous seasons. And as a result, it's rather surprising to see them, on the fly transition into man defense because they don't have the length to cover sideline to sideline with that 2-3 zone. So that's been a problem for them defensively. However, the North Carolina State Wolfpack's defense is absolutely terrible. They've allowed 9 games this season, guys, where the opponent scored 80 or more points, and most recently they gave up 100 in a 20-point loss at North Carolina to the Tar Heels. So in this matchup, I am going to start leaning towards the under, and I think all the bullish over factors are baked into the number here, which is 152, and NC State is a minus 1.5 point home favorite here. I don't think either team is going to reach 75 points in this matchup. Syracuse has the two sons of Jim Boeheim, Buddy and Jimmy. And Buddy's the three-point shooting guru. Last year, he was amazing from beyond the arc. This year, he's only hitting 33%. And, I just see the NC State Wolfpack coming off that horrid game against North Carolina, and the coach, Kevin Keatts, focusing on the defensive end. Usually after a blowout loss of 20 points or more and giving up 100, a head coach has enough pride to start refocusing his players to the defensive end. And I think this pace may be brisk, but it's not going to be as brisk as these teams like to play on average. One of the best players that the Wolfpack have is Darian Sebron. He's averaging 18.3 points per game, but he's coming off his worst game of his career. He scored just 2 points and was held to the single digits for the first time this season in that North Carolina loss. So I expect him to bounce back. But his style of play, if they post him up in any way, shape, or form, it's going to slow down the pace. And I think the under is the play here. Buster, I like numbers, so here's some numbers for you and Rocky. The Orange are 10-1 under following a game in which they covered the spread. They're 6-1 under following a game in which they scored 90 or more points. And 5-1 under following a straight-up win. The Wolfpack 13-4 under in home games and facing a conference foe that has a road win percentage of less than 40%. I say take the under in this matchup. So now we'll move to the final selection here with Rocky Atkinson, and this is the East Tennessee State Buccaneers. Not to be confused with Tampa Bay, of course. 7th in the Southern Conference, taking on the host, West Carolina Catamounts, and I love that mascot as well. They're 10th in the Southern Conference. They are 8-14 on the season. East Tennessee State 12-11 with a 9-12 against the spread record. The line for this game is West Carolina is a 5-point home dog. East Tennessee State and West Carolina have a total of 146.5 points. Take it away, Rocky, and tell us where the best bet is in this matchup.
Thank you, John. Good to be here again this week. Let's get a winner this week. I've struggled here on the show. I always tell it like it is, win or lose, and we'll get back on track here soon. East Tennessee State won the first meeting this year between these two teams by a score 87-69. They were 9.5-point favorites. Jordan King led the way in scoring. He had 23 points. Ty Brewer added 14 points. He led the team in rebounds with 8 on the night. David Sloan added 12 points and had 10 assists for East Tennessee State in that one. This team's well balanced when it comes to scoring for the year. Ladarius Brewer leads the team in scoring, 13.8 points per game. Jordan King comes in with 13.6 points per game. David Sloan, 13.1 points per game. Ty Brewer, 10.2 points per game on the season. So they're very well balanced. So if one guy goes out with foul trouble, somebody else going to pick up the slack there. East Tennessee State's lost 3 games in a row here coming into this one. They lost by 4 points against VMI, 4 points against NC Greensboro, 2 points against the Citadel. One stat here, East Tennessee State is 17-3 straight up the past 3 years when playing against a team with a losing record. So that goes to our advantage there. Let's look at Western Carolina a little bit. They've lost 5 in a row coming into this game. They're getting beat by an average of 77.2 points to 61.6 points per game. They're 2-7 in conference play this year, allowing 78.6 points per game. They lost their second leading scorer in Travion McRae. He left the team a few weeks ago. They just lost to Samford 74-64 at home in their last game. East Tennessee State's better than Samford, in my opinion. Western Carolina's 2-5 against the spread of the last 7 games after a double-digit straight-up loss at home. Western Carolina's 2-5 against the spread of the last 7 games when playing against a team with a winning record. And check out these records in this series here. East Tennessee State is 31-2 straight up, 18-8 against the spread the last 33 games overall in this series, including 14-1 straight up, 10-2 against the spread when playing at Western Carolina. And over the past 3 years, East Tennessee State 6-0 straight up, 5-1 against the spread overall versus Western Carolina, including 2-0 straight up and against the spread when playing at Western Carolina. And let's add that the road team here is 7-3 against the spread of the last 10 meetings in this series. So I'm going to play East Tennessee State minus the 5 points here on Wednesday.
Well, that's a great breakdown, Rocky. Buster and I think, are overwhelmed by that data supporting East Tennessee State in that matchup in your best bet for the show. And Buster is on the East Carolina Pirates plus the 1.5. Maybe you'll get even more later in the day. And I'm betting on the under in a contrarian play in the Syracuse, North Carolina State game. So that'll bring us to the end of our show, gentlemen. Thank you very much, as always, for your time and effort and your expertise. And for those watching, we thank you as well. Make sure you get over there and subscribe to SportsMemo TV if you haven't done so already. If you ring the bell, you get notified immediately of any show in any sport that we broadcast, whether it's live or pre-recorded like this show is. So on behalf of SportsMemo TV, remember 2 things. Bet with your head and not over it, and may all the wins be yours.